to the Lives Playbook podcast. Today I thought I'd come on here and share my thoughts on rivalry weekend, more specifically the game Ohio State versus Michigan. Michigan ends up winning that game 13 to 10. Coming into that game, Ohio State were 21-point favorites to blow out Michigan, and Michigan came into that game the defending 2023 national champions 6-5. This was Ryan Day's best chance and best shot at beating Michigan, and I think the killer of that game was the play calling. Michigan was coming into that game without their star tight end, Colston Loveland, and their star cornerback, and they were coming into that game with a first-year head coach in Sherrone Moore and a quarterback that struggled with touchdown to interceptions. And the play calling was not where it should have been. Chip Kelly and Ryan Day continued to run the ball against a more superior defensive line led by Mason Graham, who I think is going to go first round in the 2025 NFL Draft. Again, the play calling wasn't where it should have been. We had a clear advantage in receivers. We had a clear advantage on the edge. And Chip Kelly and Ryan Day continued to run the ball numerous times despite it being stopped by that great Michigan defensive line. The longest run that game was 17 yards. That run belongs to Quinshon Judkins. He had a total of 46 yards. Ohio State overall had a total of 77 rushing yards against that superior Michigan defensive line. I'll say it again. 77 yards against that superior defensive Michigan defensive line. That's not good. Will Howard completed 19 of 33 of his passes, threw for 175 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions for a quarterback rating of 56.8. Will Howard did not show up that game. And it's very disappointing because he's a senior, and this is probably going to be his first and possibly last chance playing Michigan, and he did not play up to the standards that he was having all year. He did not play well. The defense showed up for Ohio State. I'll give him that. The defense showed up. Jack Sawyer had a goal line interception. Caleb Downs had a phenomenal interception as well. The defense, in my opinion, they showed up. They gave the offense multiple chances to put the ball in the end zone. They gave the offense really the chance to win this game. But our kicker Fielding, he missed 2 field goals, which honestly could have turned the tides in OSU's favor. It could have been 16 to 10, and things happened. The conditions, it was a windy game. It was 21 degrees. Misses happen, but in a game like this, a crucial game, you got to make those. I think that and the poor, abysmal play calling ultimately all falls into Ohio State losing this game. This game means more to OSU fans more than ever because this was really a statement game for both Ryan Day and Sherrone Moore. Ryan Day has now lost to Michigan 4 consecutive years in a row, and that doesn't look well. I understand Ryan Day he's won in the past. He's coached us to the playoffs in the past. He's won in the past. He's given us winning seasons. I understand that. But your number one job at Ohio State is to beat Michigan. And year after year, the more you continue to watch this Ohio State football team, and when you look at the guys that we have on this roster, we had a lot of veteran guys on both offense and defense. We had Jeremiah Smith, a rising freshman, who's going to be a sensation come his senior year. We had Emeka Ibuka, a phenomenal senior receiver. We had Carnell Tate, another rising star. We had more than enough talent to beat this Michigan team. Again, this was Ryan Day's easiest Michigan team that he will ever coach against. Ohio State put in $20 million in total into this roster. This is a championship team. This was a championship team. They were the odds favorite to win the national championship. They were the odds favorite to win the Big Ten. And again, they were 21-point favorites to blow out Michigan. We had the talent. The talent was there. Players were there. The experience was there. Play calling just wasn't it. It wasn't there. And honestly, that hurt OSU more than the missed field goals, the 2 interceptions. It was the play calling. Now, granted, Will Howard, you can't go 1-2 touchdown to interception ratio. That can't happen. You got to show up in a game like this, and mistakes are going to happen. Missed field goals are going to happen. Picks are going to happen. But it's ultimately on the play calling. It's ultimately on the coach, and it wasn't there. It wasn't there. I want to reflect on what happened after the game, though, because this really hits home for probably a lot of OSU fans. As we all know, to anyone who's watched the game yesterday, Michigan attempted to plant the flag on the OSU logo. Obviously, OSU players didn't take too kindly to that, and there was a brawl after the game, and both teams had to be separated immediately. To me, what stood out most about that brawl is Ryan Day didn't know what was going on. He didn't step in. He didn't try to mitigate the situation. He didn't try to get his players back to the locker room. He just stood and watched. Now, granted, he is only one guy. He is only the coach, and it was a rivalry game. Tempers were through the roof. It was, the fourth consecutive year Ohio State's lost. It was just an out-of-control situation. But that right there just shows the problem with Ryan Day and the culture that he has created since Urban Meyer retired, stepped down. Ryan Day has taken a $20 million roster with all the talent that he's recruited. He's taken that roster and he's essentially suppressed a majority of the talent in that $20 million. Jeremiah Smith, the only player that got a touchdown that game, never touches the ball since that drive. Continuously runs the ball against the superior defensive line. That defensive line smothered the run. Props to Michigan's defense because they really stepped up. Michigan's offense did not show up this game. They did not show up. Davis Warren, 9 for 16, 62 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 35.9. The offense for Michigan, quite honestly, did not show up, and Michigan still found a way to beat Ohio State. Now, I will say, they ran the ball much more efficiently and much better than Ohio State did. Mullings had 116 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, averaging 3.6 yards a carry. Alex Orji had 3 carries, 32 yards, no touchdowns. The longest run was 29 yards. The team had a network of 173 rushing yards. When you really look at the stats, Michigan's offense did not show up. They did not show up. The quarterback did not show up. What really killed Ohio State was at the line of scrimmage. The line of scrimmage was dominated by Michigan the entire game. The offensive line, again, for Ohio State, they didn't show up. They showed up against the pass, though. I will give them that. They showed up against the pass. They looked good. Will Howard was clean for the most part, did not take a sack. They looked good. But when it came to the run, it was all Michigan. It was all Michigan. And Michigan dominated that line of scrimmage. That's what won Michigan the game, as well as the miscues from Ohio State's quarterback, Will Howard, the miscues from the kicker, and the bad play calling. It was not a good day to be an Ohio State fan. And honestly, I think moving forward, what do you do with Ryan Day? I understand he's a winning coach. We're still probably going to make the playoffs. We're going to have a playoff game, but we're not going to go anywhere. In my opinion, I don't think we're going to go anywhere with Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day needs to be fired after this season. He's coached us. He's coached this team well. You know, we've had 10-win seasons, 11-win seasons. He can coach, but he can't get the job done when it really matters. And the number one job for Ohio State is to Michigan. And year after year, Ryan Day has shown us that he just can't. He's not the man suited for the job. He's not an Urban Meyer. He can't dominate for 8 years straight against Michigan like Urban Meyer can. Who do we get to replace him? I don't know. Maybe Hartline steps in for the time being after. Maybe he gets promoted to the official head coach. I don't know. But as long as Ryan Day continues to be the head coach, I just don't think there's going to be too much playoff success, much less winning in the Ohio State culture. We're probably not going to make a national championship run if we are still in the playoffs, and whoever we play, it's probably going to be another one of those scenarios where Ohio State is relying on the defense yet again to keep them in the game because Ryan Day just he can't coach this team. He can't coach this culture. This is not Ryan Day's team to coach, and until Ryan Day is, there's not going to be much success with Ohio State. There's not going to be any magical national championship runs. We'll probably continue to make bowl games and playoffs under Ryan Day, but it's not going to mean anything when the roster that we've created and the rosters that we'll be creating moving forward, with all the rising stars that we continue to recruit, it's not going to mean anything if we can't make the big hurdle, which is make a national championship. It's just not going to happen under Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. I think they need to step down, and Hartline, in my opinion, should become the next coach. I don't think that's an insanely crazy take. I honestly think Ryan Day should have been gone after the third loss to Michigan last year, but that's a discussion for another day. At the time, not too many of us thought what I thought. Again, the brawling, it's understandable. You have seniors on that team that came back for this game to beat Michigan, and Ryan Day failed those seniors. It's understandable that tempers would be high. They don't want to get disrespected for a fourth year in a row. It's a rivalry. It's honestly disappointing. It's embarrassing. It's upsetting to the seniors. It's not fair to the seniors that came back. It was an ugly game. It was an ugly loss. And this is definitely going to change the college football playoff picture. It's definitely going to change it, especially considering Miami lost yesterday, too, to Syracuse. There will be some major shifts in the college football playoffs. And if Ohio State is still in the playoffs, I don't see them getting past the first round. It's just not going to happen. Despite all the talent that we have, it's probably not going to happen given who's at the head coach. To the seniors on defense, Jack Sawyer, Tui Moloau, Ransom, Igbinosun, Caleb Downs, to the seniors on offense, you guys, you tried, you gave it your all, you came back for the game that mattered. Now it's time. In my opinion, it's time to move up to the NFL and start your careers. Move up to the NFL, start your careers, and make legends of yourselves. You tried, you gave it your all, and as OSU fans, we appreciate it. We appreciate all you've done for the team. We appreciate the effort, and now it's time to move up to the NFL and make legends of yourselves. Again, that was an ugly game. It was disappointing. The brawl after was very ugly. It was bad for college football. It was bad for football in general. I understand it, though. Tempers were high. But as long as Ryan Day is the head coach of Ohio State, there will probably not be a national championship run anytime soon. And there probably won't be any meaningful wins in the near future for Ohio State. And that's honestly my thoughts and opinions on the game. I think we should be 11-1 right now, playing Oregon next week for the Big Ten championship. Again, Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, they're ultimately the reason we're in this position. And that's just my thoughts on what happened yesterday. It wasn't great. It's going to sting. It's going to hurt for a lot of OSU fans. It's embarrassing. It wasn't right. It wasn't fair. And this game honestly proved to the college football world, and especially to Ohio State fans, that Ryan Day is not suited to coach at Ohio State and lead this football program to a national championship. That was put on display yesterday. That's all my thoughts and opinions. The first episode release date is still the same, December 22nd. I will see you all there. Feel free to subscribe and hit the like button. I will see you December 22nd.